Hi everyone, welcome to now the sixth installment of WCHA Commissioner's Corner, where I get the chance to sit down with our amazing student athletes. Today, excited to be joined by fifth year redshirt senior at forward at Minnesota Duluth, Mary Kate O'Brien, I think affectionately known as MK by everyone. Welcome, MK.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. MK is just started the season. Good start. Has had an assist in every single game so far this season. Is a current serving as a captain for Minnesota Duluth. This past summer, invited to the Women's National Team Festival and participated in that event. And last year came off a career year where you played in all 39 games and had a career best 25 points. So a lot to celebrate there, MK.
It, it's been a good 4 years so far. Excited for the last one.
So you are from Wilbraham, Massachusetts, which is, I think, unique in the sense that not many people leave the Bay State to come to the Wild Wild West to play hockey. So you're one of the few people who have made that trek. What's that journey? What was that journey like that brought you to UMD?
Yeah, so it's definitely funny you mentioned that because I feel like a lot of the Minnesotans usually stay in the Minnesota schools and a lot of the Massachusetts kids go to New England schools because there's a lot to choose from. And that was like my original plan. Back when I was getting recruited, there were no rules yet. So there were a lot of girls making decisions like that very young. And so at that time, I didn't really know what I wanted. I kind of bounced around a lot in terms of like what I was looking for in a school. And eventually, when I went to BK Selects, was when I started to kind of look beyond what was in my backyard in terms of like schools. So that's when I started to look into WCHA. And I'm really glad I did because once I did that, it was kind of a no-brainer. When I started conversations with UMD, Coach Maura Kroll was the head coach at the time, and she's from Massachusetts as well. So it was really cool to make that connection and kind of helped me feel more comforted making that type of step. But I'm definitely glad that I did. It's been definitely different and fun to live in the Midwest and meet a lot of new people and learn a lot more of it's just so different out here compared to at home. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've lived in Massachusetts, from Toronto, now from Minnesota, but so I understand that they're similar, but they are kind of different worlds sometimes, and it can feel that way at first. So um, did you go away to BK? Was that like, so you left home, through in your high school years to go and play and study at BK?
Yeah, so I did 3 years at BK, and that's in Rochester, New York. So that was I went to prep school in Massachusetts first in high school, and then I left to go to BK. So that was like my first time like really living away from home. Um, so yeah, I did 3 years there, and that kind of helped like prepare me for college. So like that helped me take a big like leap of faith to move even farther away because I'm like, all right, well, I've already done 4.5 hours away. So now like we can do like 22 hours away.
Right. Yeah, that's great. But making that first initial step was probably gave you the courage to take the bigger one. So
Mhm.
besides, I mean, you had that connection with Coach Kroll and that Massachusetts link, but what was it about Duluth and UMD that made you fall in love with that program?
Yeah, so I think like this is something I learned later on, like, and even just being here, but like our culture is so strong. And I feel like a lot of people talk about how strong our culture is here. But I will say, like, initially, I very much saw my style of play fitting in with just like the Bulldog DNA. We're a very blue collar, hardworking team that plays really well, like structured hockey and disciplined hockey, but obviously like still bringing the energy and the creativity like offensively. But so I really just saw myself fitting into that style of play as well as like we have a great business school here. I knew that that was like the route that I wanted to go academically, as well as like really meshing well with the coaching staff. But now that I'm here and like I've been a part of it, or even like as a recruit, you can just really feel the love from everybody, whether it's the team or the community. So we just have like such a strong team culture that makes everybody feel valued, no matter who you are, how old you are, how long you've been here. So that's just something that I've fell in love with about this place.
So talking about the academic side and obviously the business school appeal to you, and so you already have your 4-year degree, so you double majored in business analytics and marketing, and then you're now doing your MBA. That's pretty impressive, right? Like just that's a lot that you've been able to accomplish, and with an impressive course load. How have you managed it all?
Yeah, it's been pretty hard work, especially, you know how it is, like being a student athlete, you're not always able to go to class, like traveling on the weekends. But I will say this is like where I give more credit to BK as well because it's very similar there, traveling on weekends, missing a lot of school. So I think a lot of it comes down to like time management, and like being a motivated student. And that's another thing that like is a high emphasis in this like program here is like our coaches want us to be the best student we can be. Not everybody's like great in the classroom, but like be the best you can be as a student. Um, and so like just knowing that that's like a focus for our team helps. But yeah, I would say just like having the discipline to find time for your school and like I'm a creature of habit, and so having time where, okay, we're at the rink, and then this is the time I can work on school. This is the time I'm in class. So that's something that helps me a lot.
So you mentioned traveling, on weekends is typically what you do, but you and the Bulldogs just came back from what was almost like a 2-week road trip, right? So you played 4 games, 2 games in Erie against Mercyhurst, and then 2 games at Syracuse. Great results. Bulldogs went 4-0 to start the season. That's awesome. What is that like from an academic standpoint to be gone for that long? How does the team manage that? How is that structured? What's that like for team building? Like that's a pretty unique experience.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I would say academically, it's definitely interesting because it's still like early in the semester. It's not so early where you're just missing syllabus day, but it's early in the sense of like you get a couple weeks under your belt and then you're telling your professors, oh, by the way, like I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. So it's definitely a unique experience, but just knowing like that your teammates are in the same boat as you helps. So like there's always going to be people that have homework to do too. So like, okay, I'm gonna sit in the lobby of the hotel and do homework, like if anyone wants to join. But yeah, I think just having like the mutual understanding between your teammates, like, okay, yes, we're here for hockey, but the school responsibilities don't go away. And we're really fortunate at UMD where our professors are really understanding and they work with us, so that helps as well. But I would say, like, all in all, it's not ideal in the sense academically, but you definitely manage, and it's a lot of time for team bonding in the 10 days we were gone.
Yeah, I saw, I mean, some things that were posted. You were able to take in some of the sites, but yeah, that must have been like, so it's flights, it's bus rides. You were in multiple states. You were at Niagara Falls. I mean, I'm sure it was a lot of team time, which is great early in the season, hopefully.
For sure.
And then, so just looking at again the hockey side of that, that first game was very exciting. I'd say for you can say that now, but that was exciting because it was a come from behind win with a late goal to tie it, very late, right? Like within seconds, and
Mhm.
then an overtime winner, right? For to earn that first win. So that's a big win, on the road for your first game. What was that? What do you think you and the team learned from that experience, or what does that say about this year's group?
Yeah, I think we learned a lot during this trip, but like early on to be tested like that is like very important. Because yes, these two series were out of conference games, but I think it's like an important lesson to learn that you really can't take anyone for granted. That's a huge lesson in the WCHA especially, but just like having these two out of conference games, like knowing like it doesn't matter who you're playing, like you still have to show up ready to go. And to be battle tested early on. Puts our team in different scenarios where you have to figure it out. And so to be down Like we already saw what we were made of in terms of, sticking with it and coming back. And then we were in one goal games, tie games, going into late minutes of the game. So I think it just like puts us in positions where we're not comfortable. And so to learn those lessons early on is going to be huge for us. So.
And you're also in a unique situation where you have already played 4 games. Some teams haven't even played any games yet, and you're off this weekend, right? And
Yep.
then you pick it back up again against the league rivals, defending national champs. So it's been a lot in a short period of time for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and like I said, we've learned so much. Like we've been really fortunate that we started so early and it was like thrown right into the gauntlet with a road trip like that. So hopefully we're gonna be able to look back on those 4 games and be like, oh, remember when we came from behind, or oh, remember when it was only 1-0 going into the third period against Syracuse. So just knowing that like no game is a layup and to know that we've been in challenging situations already and it's literally October 1st today, I think it should give us a lot of confidence moving forward.
Absolutely. So you just spent, 2 weeks straight with your team, so you should be able to answer this pretty easily, hopefully. Who's a teammate that comes to mind that you want the world to know more about and why?
Well, I would say like we have so many newcomers on our team. So, just any of them. Like we got a lot of new names on the back of the jersey that might not be as familiar, whether they're transfers or one of our 8 freshmen. I would say our freshmen have been producing a lot for us. I don't know if anyone, if you're watching this, has seen Ray Meyer's highlight reel goal against Syracuse. So just things like that. Molly Cole had a huge goal for us. So just I would say like any of our newcomers and then a sleeper pick just like as a person, Anna Bizik, she is one of our goalies. She's one of my roommates. People might not know much about her, but she is so important to our team and is like such a great teammate. And has so many like interesting stories and stuff that like you might not expect, but once you get to know her better, like you learn so much about her. So I would say her.
Love that. Love that. Shout out to all the newcomers too. Um, as a fifth year redshirt senior captain, what's it like managing or leading a group that has so many new faces, right? And I know like your program, coming off last season, very successful, and another NCAA tournament run and high aspirations, and now you have so many new faces. What's been that dynamic like from a leadership perspective?
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. We have 13 newcomers total, including transfers. So, like, I think bringing people in right away and just kind of showing how great our culture is and why, whether it's, using our core values as a group or just like with our habits, like leading by example, I think is huge. But also like working with the other members of the leadership group, like coaches and the other captains, and just like having patience, knowing that Rome isn't built in a day and you have to water the grass, like it doesn't just sprout overnight. I think has been really important to remember because it is really early, even though it seems like we've been playing forever now, because of that road trip. But it's still really early and just like trusting the process, but also like bringing the newcomers in and really like showing them what the Bulldog way is, um, has been huge.
When it comes to hockey, just in general, whether it's college or just thinking back to, baby MK in Massachusetts playing out, out on a pond somewhere, what is it about hockey that brings you joy?
I would say just like the community that it's brought me. I've met so many amazing people playing hockey from when I was a little one till now. And it's been like a family sport. Like I grew up playing with my cousins, playing with my brother, my dad and uncles have coached me. So in that sense, it's been just like something that my family has really like bonded over and been like brought me joy. And then as I've gotten older, I would just say like all the teammates that I've had and like the people that I've gotten to meet, coaches that I've gotten to work with. So the sense of community for sure.
Any questions that you have for us, or what do you want to know about the WCHA?
Yeah, I would just say like one thing I guess that comes to mind specific to this season is that there's the new high sticking rule. And I guess I'm just curious on like how those things come to be or like how the WCHA was selected to kind of be the guinea pig in that sense, which by the way, I'm excited for. I actually got called for a high sticking against Syracuse and I was like, well, this WCHA game, that wouldn't have been called.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that this has been discussed for a long time. I think going back, it's probably going on 15 years. The St. Lawrence coach, Chris Wells, has been talking about this forever, about just that, his opinion was that it's a really skilled play to be able to handle and tip pucks, from all heights. So it was actually it's been presented as a rule change, and the rules committee was actually really close to just making it a full out rule across all NCAA hockey, men's and women's hockey. But it just fell a little bit short, and I think part of those discussions is that they just didn't know, like they just haven't seen it tried out before. This hasn't been done at any level. So there was some apprehension and just change in general is just scary. So it was then suggested at the coaches' meetings, which happen annually in Florida, that conferences could apply for an experimental rule that would allow us to use the rule in our conference games, and then we would be able to track that data and actually have some things that we can present and discuss. Like, did it increase scoring chances and goals? Were there more high sticking penalties called? And so our coaches had that discussion, and then the coaches voted in the majority to try this rule. So it was really brought by our own coaches to say that this is something that we want to try as a league. And so that's kind of how we stepped up and said that we would. And so and a lot of people are excited that we're willing to do it. We've only had one conference series so far, which was this past weekend with Bemidji and Wisconsin. There were two plays. None of them were major impactful, meaning like they just weren't. If that rule was in place, it would have just been whistled dead. But the play just continued. So even that, in a sense, kind of positively impacts game flow. So yeah, so we are, leading the way in this territory, and hopefully we'll be able to provide some great information for the rules committee and yeah, and for men's and women's hockey, and see how this impacts the game.
Cool, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll see. So keep working on that hand-eye coordination because hopefully it'll pay off.
He will do.
So last thing that we'll end with is just we do a little quick game of this or that where I just give you a couple of options. You don't really have to overthink, just what comes to mind first, what fits you best. So I think I already know the answer to this, but MK, TikTok or Instagram?
TikTok.
All right, I've heard that about you. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird for sure.
All right. Okay, so if Coach Schuler came in tomorrow and she said, MJ, you have to either change your number or switch you to a different brand of skates, what do you do?
Change my number for sure.
Ooh, so which brand are you loyal to then?
Bauer.
Okay.
Yeah, I and it's honestly, I don't think it's anything against CCM. It's just skates have always been like the hard thing, like to break in, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it.